All right. I'm going to stop the share for 1 second. Oh no, it's recording, I think. Good. Okay, so welcome to French 102. And I'm going to explain today how things are going to work in the class. It is an asynchronous online class, meaning that you don't have to show up on Thursdays. I do want you to watch the videos every Thursday. And this is going to explain to you how Français Interactif in the class is going to work. So if you've already taken in French 101 with me or French 102 in person, this is all going to be very familiar. So if you haven't gone through the Français Interactif system, it is a little bit confusing and clunky. So let's just start at the beginning on Moodle. You probably noticed that there are not hard firm dates. There's one little essay that I'm asking you to do. I'm going to firm up all the dates for this class this weekend, and you'll know what's going to be due. So you're going to cover 4 chapters in Français Interactif, which is the textbook, and I'll show you how to get there in a second. In the syllabus, it's pending, so I was hoping that we could all get together once a week and Zoom, but it is not looking possible. So it's going to be completely asynchronous. If you want to come on Thursdays and work on anything, that is very fine. I will just be doing a video to explain different points of what's going on. So probably by next week, I hope by Monday, you'll have the solid videos with all the dates. There's just one thing that is coming up due. So here's your chapters of the book. And I would like you to start writing a little essay, and you'll see it is due tomorrow. I'm going to leave that due date because this will be posted on YouTube and you'll be able to see what's going on and know that you have this work coming up, and it shows in Moodle. So the chapitre 5 is a really fun chapter because it's all about food. And I'm going to ask you to do for homework. So those of you who've had French before with Français Interactif, you've done this before, you fill out the PDF. So here's the PDF about food, and you watch some videos, and I'm going to ask you to upload these. So I'm not going to make this due, probably not until 2 weeks from now. And then at the end of the chapter, I will have expected you to do all the grammar. Because this is online, that's about it. So there's the vocabulaire en contexte, the grammar, and then you're going to turn it in. And then I'll have a couple of little essays for each chapter to practice writing. I will also have some video projects where you're going to have to video yourself speaking. I'm not going to introduce that today, but just know that that's coming up. After the spring of 2020, I think everybody knows how to get online and make a video of themselves. You can do it through Zoom even. Okay, so let's look at the chapter. So newbies, there are 2 students here right now, Ethan and Caitlin. They already know how it works, although it's a nice refresher. Caitlin hasn't been here for a while, so this is how the book works. You have a PDF of every chapter, and so if you took French 101 with me in person, you covered the first 4 chapters, and we might have dipped a little bit into the 5th chapter. If you did not take French 101 with me in person and you did it online, you probably have the same competencies as people who took it in person, which is to say the greetings, a few knowing how to get around a city. What else do you learn in 101? The survival skills, saying who other people are, saying who you are, knowing your family. So 102 is still a beginning class, but it's getting a little bit more into specifics. So this chapter is about food. To hear all of the different pronunciations, Français Interactif has online all the vocabulary, and you can listen to how it's pronounced. So as we go through these Thursday recordings, you will hear me teaching certain points from the chapter. So let's look at let's look at the vocabulary in Français Interactif. So to get to Français Interactif, you write Français Interactif. You know what chapter we're on. We're on chapter 5. Bon appetit. And here is where you can listen to how the vocabulary is pronounced. So I'm not sure that you'll hear this.
Vocabulaire. Bon appétit. À table.
So Caitlin or Ethan, can you guys tell me if you could hear that?
I can hear it, but it's very, very faint.
Very faint, yeah. When you do it at home, you'll be able to hear it. One of the reasons why we're not going to do this synchronously, because the Zoom is unreliable when it comes to transmitting sound over the internet. There might be something that I can adjust that I haven't found, but yeah, very faint doesn't surprise me. So you can listen to all of the pronunciation here. So this is not the PDF of the chapter. This is the website called Français Interactif, and I recommend that you listen to each and every one. And then there are exercises on the website. So the two things that I'm going to hold you accountable for is the grammar and the listening comprehension. And then from these grammar and listening comprehension, this practice of grammar and listening comprehension, you'll have about 4 or 5 small projects, petits projets, that you'll do in conjunction with this for homework. So that's what you will do every chapter. You'll familiarize yourself with the vocabulary, you will go through the grammar, you will go through the vocabulaire en contexte, you will upload the PDFs. So for the folks who took French with me before, you know how to do this. For those of you who do not understand when I say you're going to upload the grammar, it is a bit of a pain in the butt, I grant you. So you go, sorry, that's the explanation of all the grammar. You go here to 5,1. You read the explanation. So this is a very typical French 102 food lesson using the partitive. So food is always quantified in French with partitive articles. So whereas in English, you say, we drink coffee. In French, you say, je bois du café. So in English, it's pretty confusing if you're a non-English speaking person, because you can drink coffee, you can drink a coffee, you can drink some coffee, you can drink the coffee. It's a little simpler in some ways in French. So café being masculine, and it's a quantity of something, you're going to always have du café. Tu veux un café? Oui, je prends du café. I'll have some coffee. So then you read the lesson to explain it, and then you do the exercises, and then you check the answers, and then you take a screenshot of it. So all computers work differently. If you use a Mac to make a screenshot, you press Shift, Command, and the number 4, and you take a screenshot, and then you have to put that into a Microsoft Word document, and then you save it all as a PDF and you upload it into Moodle. So I'm going to wait and see if other students have questions about that. There are some examples, I believe, on the Moodle website of what uploaded PDFs look like. And if there aren't, I'm going to put them there right away. let's see, convert to JPEG. What I'm going to do is I will give you an example. I'll download an example of another student's uploaded grammar homework, and you'll see what it's supposed to look like. But only 2 students need that, so it's a little confusing at first, but I'm sure you'll get it. So that is the gist of the class. Every chapter I've posted what you need to do, the vocabulaire en contexte. So let's have a look at what that is like. It's a little video, and there are no subtitles, so it's forcing you to really listen hard. And the work of the little video, oops, is done on this PDF. So you'll watch the video in conjunction with the PDF and check off. The first one is checking off. Regardez les vidéos et cochez les fruits et les légumes que la marchande nous montre. So you're gonna, if she says abricot, you're gonna check it off. They're not in order, and it's fairly self-evident. Notice that in chapter 5, if you took French 101, the instructions starting chapter 5 are in French. They're usually fairly straightforward, but if you ever have questions, you can just send me an email if you don't understand what's being asked of you. Okay, so let's look at just the homework that I want you to do. This is sort of my first stab at seeing who is tuning in and understanding what to do. So the first homework, you can watch the video that introduces the chapter, Bon Appetit. You can read in the book. So I've put the book link here. The very first exercise, which is after the vocabulary, and it's about foods that you like and don't like. Moving right along. There we go. So, so ideally in a French class, you're practicing with a partner. Well, in an online French class, we'll see. Maybe it'll come about that there'll be some very engaged students who want to practice with one another. It's the better solution is to practice with someone else or practice with me. So I will always be here on Zoom on Thursday if you want to actually practice your oral competencies. So the first writing exercise I want you to do is just to go through this little exercice. Quels sont vos goûts? Complétez les phrases suivantes. So I want you to modify that a little bit and to write a short essay on what you like. So 1 paragraph on what you love food-wise. So, par exemple, moi j'adore les fruits, les légumes. Moi j'adore les tomates, les poires, les pêches. J'adore les fruits. Le seul fruit que je n'aime pas est la mangue, mangoes, aux États-Unis. Les mangues sont bonnes, mais pas ici. So I'm saying that I love mangoes, but don't get a mango in the United States because they're never good here. Je déteste certaines choses très particulières. Par exemple, je déteste la mayonnaise Kraft, je déteste la bologna, je déteste le pain blanc et mou. J'aime les ingrédients frais et locaux. Je mange la cuisine en Louisiane parce que je suis en Louisiane. Je ne mange pas d'écrevisses, de jambalaya, de gumbo quand je ne suis pas en Louisiane. So I would like you to write a little, I call it an essay, but it's basically a list of what you like and don't like. And then I'm going to read that over, and then you're going to send in a more polished version later on in this chapter. Okay, so that's all the things that you have to do right now. It's pretty simple. An essay based on that first exercise in the book while I organize the class. I'm going to go on to one thing that I really want to talk about in the syllabus. And you should read the syllabus, although like I said, the dates aren't all firm yet. So the thing that is worrisome with online French is that you Somebody wrote a smiley face on there. Oops, where did I go with this syllabus? There's the ever obvious temptation to use Google everything. And it's an amazing tool, Google Translate. And when used well, it can help you, but it is so infrequently used in a way that is sort of using it to its best purpose. So here's the syllabus, and I have this lengthy explanation about cheating, which I hate to drive home, but before I get to the cheating, I'll also remind you that these are the things that you are supposed to do throughout 102. Understand simple questions and statements, use familiar words, be able to read in a variety of genres and texts, and being able to write some familiar tasks, topics, activities, being able to write on that. Every chapter has the competencies of what you're supposed to be able to do by the end of the chapter. You can read those on your own. And here we come to cheating and plagiarism, which is, it's hard to sort of figure out how to teach French online or any language, but the university says that you can't use other electronic media to copy, summarize, paraphrase, that you obviously need to put it in quotation marks, that you can't have another classmate friend compose or write for you. And I added on here, you really shouldn't use Google Translate for essays and writing. It can be used for a word here and there, but it gives you bad results. And so if you took 101, I use the same example, which is, je vais prendre mon ressort cassé à la vacherie, which means nothing in French. I'm going to pick up my broken spring in the land of the cows. So that's what Google Translate can do, but it does something else, which is so very inappropriate, really, because it sort of demonstrates the student is not looking at the actual material that I'm trying to teach. So to use Google or any translation software for essays and writing, you will not get proper translation showing mastery of the material, because I'm trying to get you to master the material in the chapter. Google Translate will give you j'irai au magasin. Oh, here we go. I will go to the store in French 101 and 2 is je vais aller au magasin. So this is just the simple future. I'm going to go to the store. So that is 102. You don't get into the future tense, which is fairly complicated for an English speaker to master in French. So I will go to the store is actually j'irai au magasin, but you haven't learned that yet in French 101, French 102. So what you have learned is je vais aller au magasin. So it tips me off immediately when I start to see these different verb tenses that might be right. Technically it's French, it's correct, but it's not what you've been taught. So your work should always reflect what is being taught. And this is what I'm going to do. If I start to, I'll warn you once, and then I'm going to report you. And it'll be very easy for me to demonstrate that the student is not using the material from Français Interactif. This is not French 101 or 102 that we're covering. So unless you're a native French speaker, I'm going to have to crack the whip on this, that you will be reported on the second time that I mention it to you. So otherwise, I'm going to make everybody in the class sign a little oath that they're going to do their quizzes and their tests without outside help. They will not be proctored, but I'm going to sign the oath. And once again, if you're not using material from the book, then I'm going to signal this as plagiarized, and it will have to go through the whole process, which will be unpleasant for all of us. So there's no attendance. The rest of it is boilerplate syllabus stuff. I will start to give you these dates, hopefully on Monday. So that's how things are going to work. And now I'm just going to, before I wrap things up, I'm just going to ask the two students who are here if you guys have any questions, and feel free to ask in the chat or in person. So Caitlin and Ethan, do you feel like you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think I understand. I was wondering about the essay, but the fact that it's an introduction makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, right. I'm sure it just pops up on Moodle and you see, oh my God, there's an essay due.
Yeah, that was my thought. I really just got settled in on Moodle 2 days ago, and I was like, oh no, I already have
Yeah.
assignments due in French.
Well, this is also because I'm putting an essay here at the end of the week before you even have due dates, just to say, like, let me see who's here. Let me see who's
Ah,
listening. So it's a
mhm.
little bit like attendance. And so don't let it freak you out.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah. So, Ethan, you got anything? I see that you say more or less, so you more or less understand what's going on. Feel free to type your response. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Okay, so well, while I wait to see if Ethan says anything else, I just want to tell everybody that it's such a small class. You are definitely welcome to send me emails. It's just class without going to class. That is a really good way of looking at it, Ethan. It is class without going to class. So yes, this is just online work, and I'm somewhat apologetic about that. Teaching online, something like a language, it's a little bit of a lofty goal to think that you're going to start acquiring the language. So I've lowered my expectations a lot for what an online language class can do. It'll increase your familiarity with French. It's not going to increase your fluency. And it will, of course, make you practice the structures a little bit. Should we try to stay classy despite the pack of class? Yes, keep it classy in French 102, definitely. All right, so on that note, I will be back here on Zoom next Thursday, and I will go over very specifically some of the grammar from the chapter. And I will explain what the petit projet are going to be and go over the dates, which will be determined shortly. Okay, so merci beaucoup, Caitlin and Ethan, pour avoir assisté au cours. Au revoir et bonne chance tout le monde. And I will either see you or not next Thursday. And au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, Caitlin.